Have you ever noticed how some women don't need to chase, explain, or prove anything, yet men can't stop thinking about them? She leaves the room, and instead of relief, there's silence, curiosity, obsession. And the strange part? She didn't do anything dramatic. No tricks, no manipulation, no pretending to be someone she's not. So why her? Here's the truth. Most people won't tell you. Men don't become obsessed with women who try harder. They become obsessed with women who activate something deep inside their psychology, something they don't fully understand themselves. This isn't about beauty. It's not about being loud, seductive, or constantly available. And it's definitely not about playing games. It's about presence. It's about self-respect. And most importantly, it's about what happens in a man's mind when a woman doesn't seek validation, but expects respect. A high-value woman doesn't demand attention. She doesn't compete. She doesn't chase emotional breadcrumbs. Instead, she creates a subtle tension. Do I impress her, or does she walk away? That single question changes everything. Because the moment a man feels he has to earn access to a woman's time, energy, and emotions, his brain switches from control to curiosity, from comfort to pursuit. And that's where obsession is born. In this video, you're going to learn why certain women stay unforgettable, why men replay conversations with them in their heads, and how high-value energy silently rewires attraction without saying a single word. If you've ever wondered why some women are cherished, pursued, and respected, stay with me, because this will change how you see attraction forever. Obsession doesn't begin the way most people think it does. It doesn't arrive with instant attraction or overwhelming desire. In fact, those feelings are usually loud, obvious, and short-lived. Obsession is quieter. It starts in the mind, not the heart, and it grows in the spaces where things are unfinished. Think about the last time something stayed on your mind longer than it should have. It wasn't because you had all the answers. It was because you didn't. The human brain is designed to return to what feels unresolved. When something is interesting but not fully available, the mind keeps circling back, trying to make sense of it. That's where high-value women naturally exist. They don't flood interactions with explanations or reassurance. They don't reveal every thought, feeling, or intention up front. And because of that, they don't close the psychological loop too early. Instead, they leave just enough space for curiosity to grow. When a man feels complete certainty, his mind relaxes. There's nothing left to explore. But when he feels intrigued without feeling rejected, his attention sharpens. He starts replaying conversations. He notices tone, timing, and subtle shifts in energy. Without realizing it, he becomes mentally invested. This investment is powerful because it's self-created. No one forced it. His own thoughts, effort, and emotional energy begin to stack up. And the brain has a natural response to that. It assigns value. The more someone invests, the more important the object of that investment becomes. High-value women don't push for clarity or chase validation. They allow interest to build at its own pace. They respond with intention instead of reacting emotionally. They remain warm, present, and grounded, but never predictable. That balance creates emotional tension, the kind that pulls someone closer rather than pushing them away. Obsession is born not from giving more, but from allowing someone else to invest more. Once you understand this, attraction stops feeling random or confusing. It becomes a psychological process you can recognize and respect every time it appears. A high-value woman isn't defined by how much attention she receives, how attractive she looks, or how many people desire her. Those things can be temporary. What truly defines her is the way she moves through the world and how others instinctively adjust around her. She doesn't enter a room trying to be noticed. She enters already grounded in who she is. There's no urgency in her energy, no need to impress, explain, or compete. And that calm certainty sends a clear signal. Her worth is not up for negotiation. A high-value woman has standards, but she doesn't announce them. She doesn't threaten to walk away or demand to be chosen. She simply lives in alignment with what she accepts and what she doesn't. When something feels off, she doesn't argue or overextend. She disengages. That quiet ability to walk away without drama is one of her most powerful traits. She values her time and energy deeply. Not because she believes she's better than others, but because she understands that attention is currency. She doesn't spend it recklessly. When she gives her presence, it's intentional, focused, and real. And when she pulls back, it's not punishment, it's self-respect. Emotionally, she is regulated. She feels deeply, but she doesn't let emotion control her behavior. She doesn't chase reassurance, over-explain her feelings, or react impulsively to uncertainty. Instead, she observes. She allows situations to reveal themselves before she decides how to respond. This emotional steadiness creates safety and intrigue at the same time. A high-value woman also isn't defined by who chooses her, but by who she chooses. She doesn't attach her identity to being desired. Validation is appreciated, but it's not needed. Because of this, people feel that being in her life is a privilege, not an entitlement. She remains warm, curious, and open, but never desperate for connection. She allows attraction to grow naturally, instead of forcing momentum, and that patience changes everything. It makes others lean in, invest, and try harder to earn her trust and attention. Ultimately, what defines a high-value woman is not a strategy or a performance. It's an internal alignment. She knows her worth, lives by it consistently, and lets the world respond accordingly. And that consistency is what makes her impossible to replace. Most people confuse physical attraction with emotional attraction, and that confusion is exactly why so many connections burn fast and fade even faster. Physical attraction is immediate. It's visual. It sparks interest, chemistry, and excitement in a matter of seconds. But on its own, it doesn't last. It gets attention, but it doesn't create attachment. Emotional attraction works differently. It grows quietly, often without either person noticing at first. It's built through how someone makes you feel when they're not around. It shows up in the pauses between messages, in the curiosity after conversations end, in the comfort mixed with intrigue. And unlike physical attraction, it deepens over time instead of fading. Here's the key difference. Physical attraction pulls someone in, but emotional attraction keeps them thinking. A man might notice how a woman looks, but he becomes attached to how he feels in her presence, and even more how he feels in her absence. Does she bring calm or chaos? Does being around her feel effortless or draining? Does she add clarity to his life or confusion he wants to resolve? High-value women understand this instinctively. They don't rely on appearance alone to hold attention. They engage emotionally by being present, attentive, and grounded. They listen without interrupting, speak with intention, and don't rush to fill every silence. Those small behaviors create a sense of emotional depth that physical attraction alone can't compete with. Physical attraction asks, "Do I want her?" Emotional attraction asks, "Why does she matter to me?" That question changes everything. When emotional attraction is missing, interest stays shallow. It becomes about convenience, validation, or short-term excitement. But when emotional attraction is present, a man begins to associate a woman with comfort, respect, and meaning. He starts to prioritize her without being asked. His behavior shifts, not because he's pressured, but because he's invested. And here's what keeps people watching closely. Emotional attraction can't be forced. The moment someone tries too hard to be liked, it collapses. True emotional connection is created through authenticity, boundaries, and emotional steadiness, not performance. Physical attraction may open the door, but emotional attraction decides whether someone stays. And once emotional attraction is established, it doesn't just fade, it anchors. That's why the most unforgettable women aren't always the most physically striking, but the ones who leave a lasting emotional imprint long after the moment passes. And in the next part, we'll uncover how confidence and emotional detachment quietly amplify this effect even more. There's a pattern most people don't notice until they've lived it enough times. Men rarely chase what feels guaranteed. The moment something feels fully secured, predictable, or emotionally controlled, the intensity drops. Not because the interest was fake, but because the challenge disappeared. The human mind is wired to engage with what feels autonomous. When a person has their own direction, boundaries, and internal stability, they can't be controlled or rushed. And that independence creates pull. It signals value. When a man feels like he fully understands someone, can predict their reactions, and knows they'll always be available, his nervous system relaxes. There's no tension, no curiosity, no need to step forward. Comfort replaces pursuit. But when a woman is emotionally grounded and self-directed, something different happens. She isn't withholding, cold, or distant. She's present, but not dependent. Interested, but not attached to outcomes. And that subtle difference is powerful. He can't rush her emotions. He can't force her attachment. He can't control her response with attention alone. And that's when pursuit begins. Not because he feels rejected, but because he feels engaged. Men chase what they can't control, because it activates their sense of agency. They want to feel chosen, not assumed. They want to feel that their effort matters, that it creates movement. When a woman's life doesn't revolve around being pursued, his attention sharpens. He leans in, tries harder, shows up more intentionally. High-value women don't create this dynamic intentionally. It's a byproduct of self-respect. They don't abandon their routines, values, or emotional balance for validation. Their happiness doesn't rise and fall based on someone else's interest. And that emotional independence removes leverage from anyone trying to control the dynamic. The chase isn't about ego alone, it's about meaning. When effort leads to growth, connection, and earned closeness, it feels rewarding. When everything is freely given without discernment, it feels empty. This is why consistency without attachment is magnetic. Warmth without need, interest without pressure. The moment a man realizes he can't rush, define, or dominate the emotional pace, he starts investing. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. Control fades. Curiosity grows. And that's the paradox. The less someone tries to control attraction, the more powerful it becomes. Confidence and detachment are often misunderstood. Many people think confidence is about being loud, dominant, or constantly self-assured, and detachment is mistaken for coldness or lack of interest. In reality, both are quiet forces, and when they work together, they create one of the most magnetic energies in human connection. True confidence isn't something you announce, it's something others feel. It shows up in how a woman carries herself, how she speaks without rushing, and how she makes decisions without needing approval. She doesn't second-guess her worth in real time. Even when she's unsure, she doesn't collapse inward or seek reassurance to stabilize herself. Detachment doesn't mean she doesn't care. It means her emotional well-being isn't dependent on someone else's behavior. She can enjoy connection without clinging to outcomes. She can like someone without needing certainty. And because she isn't emotionally gripping the situation, she allows it to unfold naturally. This combination changes the entire dynamic. When a woman is confident but attached, she may still chase validation. When she is detached without confidence, she may appear distant or disengaged. But when confidence and detachment exist together, they signal emotional security. And emotional security is deeply attractive. A man senses that he can't influence her self-worth with attention or withdrawal. His interest doesn't inflate her ego, and his distance doesn't destabilize her. That neutrality creates respect. It also creates curiosity. He starts to wonder what motivates her, what anchors her, and why her energy feels so steady. Confidence allows her to be fully present. Detachment allows her to remain free. She can laugh, connect, and show warmth without losing herself in the process. She doesn't overanalyze texts, replay conversations obsessively, or abandon her priorities to maintain momentum. This energy invites effort rather than demanding it. Because there's no emotional pressure, interaction feels lighter, and paradoxically, deeper. A man leans in not because he feels pulled, but because he feels safe to invest. Over time, this dynamic builds trust and attraction simultaneously. Confidence says, I know who I am. Detachment says, I'll be okay regardless of the outcome. Together they remove fear from connection, and when fear disappears, genuine desire has room to grow. That's why confidence and detachment aren't about playing hard to get. They're about being grounded enough to let attraction reveal itself, without forcing, chasing, or controlling the process. Boundaries are one of the most misunderstood aspects of attraction. Many people think boundaries are rigid walls meant to keep others out or to control behavior. In reality, boundaries are a form of self-respect. They define what is acceptable and what isn't, and they create clarity without pressure. And when used correctly, boundaries don't push people away, they increase desire. When a woman knows her limits and communicates them calmly, it sends a message that she values herself. She isn't afraid to say no, step back, or walk away when her standards aren't met. That clarity is magnetic because it introduces structure into uncertainty. A man suddenly realizes that access to her time, attention, and energy isn't automatic. It must be earned. That challenge triggers investment. Boundaries work because they create contrast. In a world where so many people give too much too soon, someone who gives selectively stands out. When attention, warmth, or affection isn't guaranteed, it becomes more meaningful. Men naturally lean into situations where effort is required, where their energy and attention produce results, and where the outcome is not predetermined. That's the psychology of desire in action. Boundaries also protect emotional energy. A high-value woman doesn't overextend herself to chase validation. She maintains her routines, priorities, and self-respect, and she expects others to do the same. That stability is attractive because it creates a sense of reliability and security without dulling intrigue. Men feel drawn to someone who is steady yet not fully predictable, someone who engages fully when present but isn't dependent on their approval. Another reason boundaries increase desire is that they signal authenticity. When a woman enforces her limits, she isn't performing or pretending, she's demonstrating who she is. That honesty inspires respect, and respect naturally fuels attraction. A man doesn't just want her attention, he wants to earn it, and that process strengthens emotional attachment. Boundaries also encourage independence, which paradoxically makes connection more powerful. Because a woman doesn't cling or compromise her standards to maintain interest, men feel the need to invest rather than assume. Emotional tension arises naturally, not from drama, but from balance. And that tension is one of the most reliable triggers of desire. In short, boundaries are not barriers, they are the invisible force that creates value, sparks pursuit, and deepens emotional investment. When implemented with clarity, consistency, and calmness, they make a woman irresistible while keeping her empowered, respected, and unforgettable. There are a few key mistakes that destroy attraction faster than anything else. And most people don't even realize they're making them. These aren't obvious blunders like being rude or dishonest. They're subtle behaviors that slowly erode desire, often without the person noticing. Understanding them is essential if you want to maintain interest, respect, and emotional connection. The first mistake is chasing validation. When a woman constantly seeks reassurance, whether through excessive texting, over-explaining her feelings, or reacting anxiously to a man's behavior, it signals insecurity. Instead of creating intrigue, it removes mystery and flips the dynamic, making her appear dependent. Men are naturally drawn to confidence, not neediness, and chasing validation undermines attraction because it turns emotional energy into something predictable rather than earned. The second mistake is oversharing too soon. Many people think that revealing everything immediately builds intimacy, but it often has the opposite effect. When a man feels he knows everything about someone from the start, the brain no longer has room to wonder, invest, or feel challenged. Emotional investment thrives on curiosity, tension, and pacing. Revealing too much too fast collapses the mental loops that create obsession. Another common mistake is inconsistency without intention. Fluctuating between hot and cold behavior can trigger attraction if done strategically. But when it's accidental, it creates confusion and frustration. Men respond to balance and clarity. If your energy constantly sends mixed signals, attraction fades because the brain stops trying to solve the puzzle, it simply disengages. A fourth mistake is ignoring personal boundaries. Giving too much time, attention, or emotional energy without limits can feel generous at first, but it diminishes perceived value. Men are wired to pursue challenge and respect independence. When boundaries are absent, the dynamic becomes easy, predictable, and boring. Finally, failing to maintain your own life outside the relationship is deadly for attraction. When someone abandons their routines, passions, or friendships to focus entirely on another person, it signals desperation. High-value women maintain their own energy, goals, and social world. This independence creates intrigue and reminds others that they're earning time and attention, not taking it for granted. Attraction is as much about what you don't do as what you do. Chasing, oversharing, inconsistency, boundary neglect, and losing yourself all reduce desire. Avoiding these mistakes isn't about manipulation, it's about self-respect, pacing, and understanding how emotional investment works. When you correct them, you naturally become more magnetic, unforgettable, and desired. At the core of attraction is one simple truth. Desire is earned, not given. Men don't chase what feels easy or predictable. They chase what challenges them, inspires curiosity, and commands respect. High-value women understand this instinctively, and it shapes every interaction they have. The mindset shift begins with self-respect. When you value yourself, your time, and your energy, you no longer feel the need to chase validation. You stop over-explaining, over-texting, or bending to meet someone else's expectations. Instead, you move through life with calm confidence, knowing that your attention and presence are valuable, and that others must meet your standards to earn them. Equally important is emotional detachment paired with authenticity. This doesn't mean being cold or uninterested. It means remaining grounded regardless of how someone else behaves. You can be warm, engaging, and open, while still holding your boundaries and prioritizing your own life. That balance creates magnetic tension, sparking curiosity, intrigue, and emotional investment. Another key takeaway is the power of pacing and space. Obsession grows in the gaps, the pauses, and the mystery. By not giving everything at once and allowing men to invest their thoughts, effort, and attention, you naturally increase their desire without saying a word. Finally, attraction isn't about tricks or manipulation. It's about alignment, knowing who you are, what you want, and how to hold your energy with integrity. The moment you internalize this, interactions shift. Men are no longer chasing uncertainty. They're drawn to your presence, respect your standards, and invest in connection because it feels meaningful. Remember, attraction is a reflection of your energy. Grounded confidence, intentional boundaries, and emotional intelligence create a magnetic force that's impossible to ignore. Step into that energy consistently, and you'll notice something remarkable. People don't just want your attention, they want to earn it.